Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So about 2 weeks ago, my wife and I decided to sell our 2006 Corvette because we live on a somewhat busy street neighborhood. She didn't feel comfortable driving the Corvette, being afraid that somebody was going to hit her from the rear end. So she decided she wanted something a little bit bigger. So we picked her up a 2013 Jeep Wrangler Rubicon. We've had it for about 2 weeks now, and since we've had it, we've gone ahead and we color matched these fenders, and I ended up having to do them twice. I had the paint mixed wrong the first time, and anyways, got to do that. And then we were also able to take the stock tires, and we got those off, and we put 13.5 on 24s. 24 is a little bit bigger than what I wanted, but I got them for a good price, and so we are really surprised. This Jeep is not lifted. This is a stock height Rubicon with 38s with a -51 offset, and the Jeep is just massive. But we measured it, and my truck, being a Ford Raptor with some aftermarket wheels, nothing crazy, sits about 89 inches wide, while this Jeep is sitting 86 inches wide. So really, it's not much bigger than a full-size truck, but that's really saying something for a Jeep. We also went and, before I even bought the Jeep, so we knew we were gonna get a Jeep, and these popped up about 30-45 minutes away from me. I bought the power running steps. It's just something that I've always really liked since I had my F-150 Platinum, and since we knew we were going to be lifting the Jeep anyways, so we went ahead and picked up a set of those. Got a really good deal on them. Other than that, I mean, it's just a super cool Jeep. It has, so this Jeep, the Carfax said that it came from Utah, and when I first looked at it, I didn't really get under the Jeep. I mean, we bought it from it's an expensive Jeep, and it has 90,000 miles on it as well. So I wasn't really too worried about anything. Well, there's quite a bit of rust on the bottom of this, surface rust, nothing crazy. Like here's a spot of rust. It's just surface. It was all over these fenders, and so we really sanded those down, grinded out some areas, did a little bit of body filler, and got those fenders looking better. Yeah, it came with the winch. It's a Warren 9,500 pound winch. We might swap that out for maybe not, I don't know. But yeah, it's a crazy Jeep. So that's kind of just of where the Jeep is now. Kind of just wanted to show you guys where it's at to start with. And also saying that I could fit 38s with flat fenders, I guess is what people call it, being able to fit on this Jeep. She has no rubbing. She's gone over bumps. She's drove it this way for 3 days now and hasn't had any problems. But we do have a 2.5 inch lift kit for it, and we have a couple other things for it that I'm gonna kind of show you guys today. I'm not quite sure how far we're gonna get in this video, so I'm gonna flip you guys around, kind of show you the stock tires that were on it, and then what we have to put on the Jeep, and kind of just start getting after it and see how far we get. Okay guys, so Mason's already looking at some of the parts that we have, but I wanted to show you guys the stock tires that we had. I've seen these on another Jeep before, so I don't think they're stock tires, but I've seen them on a couple of Jeeps before, and I kind of always thought they were stock tires. But yeah, they're just the BF Goodrich 315, so they're like I think they're like 34.5 inch tires actually, but definitely very different than those wheels. We had 5 because we had one on the spare tire holder, which now we do not have, so we will probably be doing just a basic bumper and then a spare tire delete. So Mason's already looking at some of these parts. Yeah, we've gone ahead, we've opened some of the parts, but we haven't really dove into it, haven't pulled all the boxes out. You know, just couldn't help us ourselves from opening the boxes. Let's start off with this lift kit. Do you want to go ahead and tell them, Mason, what it is?
So this is a lift kit from Rough Country. It's a 2.5-inch suspension lift. This lift kit, you didn't get the shocks, right?
I didn't. So we actually have the, what do you call those?
They're Bilstein.
Bilstein
5100 series.
Yeah, so we kind of discussed back and forth on whether or not I should replace those shocks, but Rough Country shocks, the basic cheap
it was like
ones.
$100 for those shocks, and the shocks on here are like $400 or something. So we figured those are probably better.
So we got up before we ordered those and came out here and had to take one of the shocks off, and they seemed fine. So with the Jeep only having 90,000 miles, those shocks, I couldn't find a mileage. I didn't really look that hard, but they said they're long lasting, strong built shocks, whatever. So they seemed fine. So we just kind of went with it. These have the brackets instead.
Yeah, these are to extend the shocks instead of getting new shocks.
And I think those are the rear brackets, right?
I think these are the rear and these are for the front.
And so show me that block, because it does say Rough Country.
Yeah, it says Rough Country.
Or RC.
And then I think the top of the shock actually
sits in that?
I think, I'm guessing.
Okay. And so 2.5-inch lift.
It should be super simple. I mean, just coils and some brackets. I mean,
yeah.
It shouldn't take long, I hope.
And then brake line.
Oh, is that what those are?
Yeah. While we're talking about the lift kit, would you go ahead and pull the items out of this box? Let's talk about the things under the those first. So as we were reading a little bit more about this lift kit, and we watched Rough Country's how-to video, something that they mentioned, I'm not quite sure how they went into it on which models needed it or not, but they said maybe they said sometimes the drive shaft comes into contact with
the exhaust.
The exhaust. So these weird looking,
they go in between the actual connections in the exhaust to make it longer.
So off of the manifolds,
no, the headers.
The headers. So off of the headers where the rear bracket, where the exhaust tubes tie into it, these are spacers that go into it. So that was a separate part that I had to order.
I've never seen those before.
Pretty weird, and they didn't really look too good in the video, but in the video of how they installed it, pretty weird. So we will figure that out together. So the parts sitting next to Mason, these metal, well, they're metal gussets. So since I'm running 38-inch tires on this, we kind of bought the tires and then started talking about what we needed not to break stuff. And this was kind of the number one top thing that everybody recommended. So this being a Rubicon, I have a Dana 44 front end, or front axle. And they said that the C control arms, arms, well, now that these wheels stick out so far.
Yeah, shouldn't flashlight on.
These arms on the end, I guess, are a little bit taller.
Yeah, these right here.
Can you hold one of those pieces of metal up? Basically, this is a reinforcement for that arm. So we're gonna clean them up.
Something like that, right?
Yeah, no, that looks great.
Probably in there.
But I see that it's touching near that coil.
Yeah.
So maybe that one's not sitting all the way, or maybe it's the other side.
Yeah, who knows?
Or maybe there's just a little bit of rust on it and it needs to scoot forward some. But yeah, super cool, like $55, so nothing too crazy. We're gonna try to get those welded in tonight as well. And then also do that lift kit if it does go really quick. But like I said, she's been driving this for 3-4 days now. Probably put 50 miles or so on it. I haven't really been able to drive it, so.
Yeah, but you know, these are just to keep the axle from bending or breaking or anything. So.
Something else on this Jeep, it does have a super chip tuner in it. So something I haven't done yet is I haven't updated the size of the wheel in the tuner, but that is on there, so we'll have to play with that a little bit. We did also pick up a Rough Country
steering stabilizer.
Yeah, just a basic steering stabilizer. It does come with a relocation bracket.
Yeah, we weren't sure if that one was bad or it didn't look the best. So.
It potentially is just a stock steering stabilizer down in there. So again, it only has 90,000 miles, and the Carfax didn't say anything about that being replaced or really anything being replaced. So picked one of those up. A little bit more expensive than other steering stabilizers. I think the steering stabilizer for his truck is like $40. That one was almost $100, $70, $80 actually. Okay, so we went over this. We also picked up that box.
Yeah, I'm not excited about these ones.
So the second thing that people recommend was upgrading to a heavy duty ball joint. So I kind of was already on rough country, so I just typed in ball joint and that popped up as a heavy duty kit. I know I watched other videos and people were talking about how they did Terraflex. I did not compare the two, but I did buy these. I think these were like $109. So they say heavy duty, and we bought them, and we're gonna get those installed sometime. They may not be
maybe not
in this
today.
video.
Those are probably the hardest part of everything we have here.
Oh, it's gonna be a nightmare. And these wheels weigh like 150 pounds each, and so they're a beast to take on and off. So doing it for the lift kit, think we could do it without taking the wheels off?
No.
But we got gussets to weld on anyway, so the front wheels have to come off. The back wheels we might be able to leave on.
Maybe.
I would love to leave the back end.
Well, I don't know, getting them coils in. I doubt it.
Probably not. So we'll set it up on jack stands and go from there. The part sitting over here is part of my spare tire. I'm not sure what this part is. It looks like it's maybe an attachment to carry like a high lift jack or a gas can. These parts right here, the bolts are going to strip out. On those fenders, some of the bolts stripped out. They're super stuck, and so since I thought I might be selling the bumper, I didn't want to strip those parts. So if any of you guys know what those gray parts go to, that would be super cool if you could let me know. But yeah, so those are the parts that we have right now. We have other plans for the Jeep. I want to do a front bumper. What's your guys' take on the Fab 4 Grumper? As a kid, when I saw them, I thought it was the coolest thing ever, and I've just always wanted to do a Grumper and a Valcrow on the front of this Jeep. Well, on anything, if I had a F250 or if I had a 2500, I wanted to do the Valcrow and the Grumper. I know some people hate it, some people love it. I think we should go ahead and buy one. I do know that they now sell off-brand Grumpers and Valcrows. I think there's a company called Hooky that sell them. But it's not really a Grumper if it's not from Fab 4s. So I don't know about that. And then we have to decide if we want to paint match that. And these fenders are really close, but they're not. I mean, they look really close on camera, but you can tell just a little bit that they're off. So that's the next decision. If you guys have any input, comment down below. But I think we're going to go ahead and take these front wheels off. Maybe try to fit up the gussets a little bit, and then probably start doing that lift kit. And all right, you ready, Mason?
Yep.
I hope this goes quick. So now that we have that wheel off, I did have to do an 1.25" spacer from wheel adapter from 5x5 to 5x5.5. Didn't have any problems with the lugs, with the studs up here, but in the rear I did have to cut just a little bit off of them.
Yeah, these are 1.25".
Yeah, pretty weird. And then here's the Bilsteins that we were talking about. There is some overspray. They've sprayed the you can see some rust on the bumper, a little bit of rust there. The bump stops are completely destroyed. We probably should have replaced those. It's a little rusty, but I mean,
it's not too bad.
It's not too
I
bad.
mean, there's some stuff that's not surface rust, but
Yeah.
most of it,
So-
I think it is.
We might try to clean some of this off, and the brakes look good. Yeah, brakes look good. So, okay, and these are zip tied, so we're doing it. But yeah, so we also have the inner fenders. I paint matched those as well. So we did those, and we also did some tail lights. I'll show you guys later. But yeah, so here's the stock parts, and out they come. Well, guys, we have some good but bad news concerning the Jeep. So when I had mentioned that this was a stock Rubicon, it's not. We were concerned about buying something that has been touched by somebody else. It's really concerning when you buy something and you don't know everything about it. This was one of those situations. I've never had a Jeep this year. I mean, we were wondering in photos what this part was, and couldn't really find what that was. Well, when we start pulling these out, we couldn't get the coil out, and so we look up, and can't really see it, but right there it says AEV, right? Mm-hmm. AEV. So I look up this AEV because it looks like it's a lift kit. Well, it's a 2-inch lift kit, and that is a lift kit bump stop for that. And then I start looking, and in the rear, it has the bump stops for the rear. These shocks are aftermarket, so they don't have the brackets, and they also don't have the brackets for the brake line, which if I would have saw a bracket for the brake line, I would have known immediately to look for it. I just thought it was weird that they zip tied it, but even in the instructions for that lift kit, they tell you to zip tie it to the shock. And these sway bar lengths are aftermarket because there's a sway bar, there's a grease insert on the bottom, and this is like a Heim joint, and that lift kit comes with those. So it has a 2-inch lift kit, and so we start looking, and basically what Mason comes up with is that I don't have the factory coil boot.
It's like a coil cup or
boot cup that would go here, so therefore I couldn't put the rough country lift in if I wanted to. And so then we start looking about stacking it and what the 4-inch versus the 2.5-inch comes in, and the 2.5 versus the 4, there's a track bar and a pitman arm and a rear track bar, and it's just, I didn't want to do all that, and it's kind of upsetting because I thought I was getting a lift kit with these tires. I thought it was going to just be this big old lift. It already has a 2-inch lift on it, and so we boxed it all back up, and we're going to have to see if we can return it. All I really opened was the manual, the instructions, and played with the coil a little bit, so I hope I can return those. But we are going to go ahead and start working on the gussets, and then also swap in a new steering stabilizer because there's no reason not to do that. And then also the ball joints I will do sometime. Who knows? Maybe those are aftermarket too. No, I think those are stock. There's no grease insert on that one. I think there's a grease insert. Yeah, these ones get a grease insert. Yeah, grease insert there and grease insert there. So I will probably swap those over sometime. But yeah, kind of just disappointing that I couldn't do the lift kit. So now we might have to do some trimming right there. And I might have to scoot the running boards forward, or might trim that piece back in there a little bit. So not a big deal. But yeah, this lift actually also does not have the exhaust spacers in it. So maybe 2-inch was the magic number that you didn't need it for. So, okay, well, we're gonna get working on the gussets and the steering stabilizer. So here we have it. The gussets are installed right there, top, and that's the bottom. You can see the steering stabilizer. We masked off some areas and painted. We have the other side already down on the ground. You can see the wheel back in there. But overall, it looks really good. That shock looks horrible, but we got that cleaned up quite a bit. Well, there we have it. It wasn't the video that we were hoping for. We were hoping to do a lift kit. It was a good and bad thing because it was already done, but it's not as high as we wanted it to be. So that was a bummer, but we were able to get the gussets and the steering stabilizer installed. So that was an upside. We do have the ball joints to do eventually, and then any other things that we come up on the Jeep.
Yeah, we might have to trim up the fenders a little bit.
Yes, that's probably going to happen. Areas like that will probably have to be trimmed up, especially in the rear, well, and this corner. Yeah, so we're going to have some trimming to do, so we're going to have to go out or lift the suspension up and cycle it through, turn it, you know, do what we need to do to figure out how much we have to cut, and then have to try to make that look good. But yeah, you know, thank you guys so much for watching, and we did just hit 1,000 subscribers. How amazing is that? I'm lost for words. I mean, I just say thank you guys so much. You know, yeah, just thank you guys so much, and we will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.